Yeah, now I am on. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing and how has your week been? I am excited to be here and I know that you are as well. This morning, as usual, we're going to be talking about our relationships. And today, I want us to talk about, the dysfunctions in our relationship that give birth to unhealthy relationships. Why are we unhappy in our relationship and in our marriages? Why is it that the hopes that we had before we got married, the enthusiasm with which we started, seem to be dwindling, and we don't know how to, rescue our marriage from the the downhill, that it is presently going, into. So today we are going to talk more about that, and I welcome you to this program. And before we go, deeper, just let's have a quick break. Yeah, you're welcome once again. Thank you for always giving me the permission to invade your spaces on Saturdays like this. Thank you very much for always allowing me to do this with you. My name is my name is Nikki Adekunle, as we all know. And if you don't know, well, my name is Nikki Adekunle, and I'm a couple therapist and a relationship coach. And what I find joy in doing is helping you to be better at your relationships. What I find joy in doing is helping you walk through the difficult terrain of your relationship. And today, I want us to talk about the need for perfection in our relationships. Today, we are going to talk about the need for perfection. But before we actually go there, I want to quickly do a recap of what we have been doing before now. What we have been doing before now, in the previous weeks, we have been we were talking about unhealthy relationships. Let me just quickly get to my okay, yeah. We've been talking about unhealthy relationship, and the first of this series we talked about how you can recognize a healthy and an unhealthy relationship. And we talked a lot about that. If you have not been following us, you may need to watch our previous videos to see what are the things that you should be able to identify with, the things that you should be doing, and the things that should not be present in your relationship. So we talked about a lot of things then. Then we talked about why. In the next week, we talked about why unhealthy relationships patterns, why unhealthy relationship patterns in our relationship are set up, how we set it up. So that was what we did the second week. And the third week, we talked about how it is set up, the dynamics behind getting such, unhealthy relationships, how we get them set up in our relationships. And so today, I want us to talk about the need for perfection as a continuation of our series. And it was prompted because someone asked a question last week. And the person, I was talking about how you show up in your relationships and how being how not coming with the wholeness of yourself into your relationship removes from your relationship, how not understanding um, your contributions to your relationship, how it affects eventually your relationship and makes it unhealthy. Those were some of the things that we have been looking at. But today, the person asked the question as a result of the fact because I said don't show up weak in your relationship and always make sure that there is a nice balance of power in your relationship. Ensure that there's a nice balance of power. And if there was any recommendation that I made, that was is it possible for you to ensure that there is a split of power around like 50-50 in your relationship? That balance of power is necessary because it gets you are happier in that kind of, and it promotes health in your relationship. And I said another balance of power, another tilt of power that could be that could make a relationship work is if the husband has slightly, more powers than the woman in the relationship. That will also make for health in the relationship, and that's but anything that is beyond that, when there is too much tilt of power, somebody is having 85% power in a relationship and another person is having 15, it usually doesn't work. No matter what the person thinks initially, you will think that, okay, okay with this I'm okay with the balance of power in my relationship. But after a while, like I said, resentment begins to build. Another person asked another question, which we also addressed last week. That's what if the person has an ulterior motive, that if what you wanted was to just get married to a billionaire, you don't care the balance of power. And I said, well, if you have an ulterior motive, that will also work because what you want is what you will get. You don't want more than that. But I know that as human beings, it gets to a point where after a while, you begin to long for more. You want to be treated better. You want to be recognized as a human being. You want to, you just want to, you just want more, and you want better for yourself, and you want to begin to negotiate for better. But once somebody sees you at a particular level, and like we concluded last week, it is difficult to break out of that space where the person has already put you. And so, today, I just want us to, as a result of the question that was asked last week, and what is the question? If I may, let me just tell you what the question is. The question is, what if the man in the relationship wants to give away power to his wife? That, okay, I'm okay with you having 80% of the power, and I'm just okay with 20. It doesn't bother me. I'm okay. I'm strong in myself, and I don't care. If you like, try to try to harass me. If you like, try to govern me. If you like, whatever you want to do, it's fine by me. And we didn't get that that answer. Last week until they had already signed out. Okay, and so because of that, I want to address the issue. Um, Addressing the issue is why we are talking about this need for perfection. And the perspective that I'm looking at it from is people wanting to look a particular way and making them look, that particular way you want to look makes you look perfect. And the word to be underlined here is the need to be seen. Not necessarily that you are perfect, but there is a need to be seen as perfect. Usually, relationships have, we have several dynamics in a relationship. But when you get to that spot where you need to be seen as perfect, not necessarily because you want something perfect, because the perfect thing that should be in a relationship is that there should be the balance of power should not be over tilted in any direction. But if you now get to the point where you are like, okay, I don't mind giving away power, it simply means that you are not being 100% truthful, and it is just a need to be perceived in a particular way. What is perfection, anyways? Perfection and perfectionism is, you know, not not allowing alternatives, not allowing alternatives, not giving room, for anything less than perfect. It has to be seen in a perfect way. And there are so many ways that we do that and that we communicate that in our relationships. Sometimes we want our children to appear a particular way. Sometimes we need our home to appear a particular way. Sometimes we conduct ourselves in public in a particular way that communicates perfection that is not necessarily true. And why you know that this is a problem is that what is obtainable on a daily basis is generally different from the perception that you're selling to people and that people are buying. And in that case, it's almost like living a dual life. People that are consumed with being seen a particular way. It is just the perception that matters. It is not necessarily the health that they are particular about. It is just okay. I want to be seen as a good guy. I want to be seen as a perfect woman. I want to be seen as a perfect wife. And there's a way that it will always dovetail to breed on health in our relationships. There is always a way that it will always come back, to breed on health in our relationships. Um, I have, before I continue to talk this morning, I have people that are here with me. I have Mahmoud Govinda. Sorry, I murdered your name. I have Fabo Eric. Thanks for being here this morning. I have Femi Adekunle here. And I also have Dr. AY Papi here on Instagram as well. Thank you everybody for being here this morning. So let me continue. When you crave being seen in a particular way, not necessarily the things, the diagnosis. I mean, what's the word now? Not necessarily the things that make for health. That is not what you're striving for, but to be seen in a particular way. Then sometimes it will always bring on health. We need to be able to deal with whatever is responsible for us wanting to be seen and to be perceived in a particular way. And maybe I should just address some of those things. To be seen as a perfect spouse is a subtle way of sabotaging your relationship. It's a subtle way of sabotaging your relationship. And what do I mean by that? Um, People that want to present that front that I give you whatever you want, it is because of the reward that they get from outsiders, not necessarily because of their spouse. And so they do things, they say things that is not coming from their hearts. It is just for the grants, as we used to say it, and for people to see that they are doing a lot and putting in a lot in their relationship. And um, it is unhealthy for any relationship. What we should strive for is what will make things work and what will make us pass the best things to our children, the things that will make us pass healthy relationship and nurture our children in such a way that they know what is right from what is wrong. Because imagine any child growing in an environment where um, there is no nice balance of power. The children grow up with a perception that this is normal. And so imagine a child in that relationship that is growing up and thinking that maybe a girl child growing up in that family, the child already believes that I'm supposed to dominate my husband, I'm supposed to dominate my spouse. And so, but the husband in the relationship thinks that, okay, I'm giving away power. But the thing is that you are educating your children the wrong way. And so they go out with that mentality that, okay, I will take over your life. And what you are doing in essence is that you are training somebody that is going to be the dominant person in our own relationship. And when the spouse rejects that kind of balance, that kind of um, you know, tilt of power, the person will resist because this is what I've known all my life. And so, what are you complaining about? This is how it's supposed to be. And if it's also a guy in that relationship, a boy child growing in that kind of home, that child the boy will also believe that if the person will be subconsciously looking for a spouse that can dominate him, that can, babying him around, that can be the mom to him, and so what you're doing is that, so we should all be interested in building something that we can pass down our generational lines, not just because we want to be seen as nice people. So these are some of the things that are, these are some of the reasons why, tilting the balance of power too much on any side is not good for our relationships. The second thing also, is that when, people like this, there's also another thing that is very common. It is when you make sacrifices that are unneeded. People that in a relationship, if you are in a marriage situation, for instance, and you are making unneeded sacrifices, what it does to the relationship is that it steals joy from both parties. It steals joy. You don't have to sacrifice your right of being happy. You don't have to sacrifice your right of being happy in a relationship just because, you want to be seen as that perfect union. You want to be seen as a perfect man or a perfect woman. I will allow you to do anything you want. And people outside will say that, yes, this person is long suffering, this person is good, this person is, we can't do that because you are making an unneeded sacrifice. And what do I mean by that? In a relationship, when, and this unneeded sacrifice is one of the major problems that two good people in a relationship, they will usually have. Two good people in a relationship, you have very good people in a relationship, and the two of them are extremely good, but it gets to that place and that point where, they're always making unneeded sacrifices. And I mean things like, you will just continue to, okay, what do you want to eat? You don't have an opinion. Okay, should we eat this? Anything you want. And at the end of the day, both parties are making a sacrifice that is unneeded. So let's imagine that my spouse and I really want to eat rice, and he really wants to eat beans. And and maybe he says that, oh, let's make beans. And I said, beans. He said, no, but that could be rice. No, but me, I don't really want to eat rice. So, and I'm saying, okay, whatever you want. But because he wants to sacrifice, he will now say, no, 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 don't worry. Let's eat rice. I'll say, no, 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 don't worry. We can do beans. And I'll say, in fact, any other thing. And I'll say, okay, or do we do it? But then anything, just make sure. And two good people make sacrifices that are needed. So eventually we may decide to eat eba, but he doesn't want to eat eba, I don't want to eat eba, I actually want to eat rice, he wants to eat beans. But because we are not strong to communicate what we want, we'll end up always sabotaging the relationship in such a way that is subtle. But that is the problem of two good people in a relationship. Two good people will usually hurt themselves in a relationship because they make unnecessary sacrifices. And so, in your own relationship, are you sure that sometimes we communicate in truth what we want, and we are always fighting for the health of that relationship? Or we just continue to make sacrifices because we need to be seen as that good spouse and whatever. So maybe if you communicate nicely, with the example that I have given, maybe I would say, oh, I really want to eat rice. And you say, if I really, really, really would prefer to eat beans, but if it makes you happy, can we eat beans now and maybe rice later? Then our sacrifices are worth it. He knows that he has sacrificed for me this time, and I'm accepting the sacrifice. And I know that, okay, the next time he is going to be making sacrifices. And that way things are balanced. Because that is why people get to the point in their relationships where they begin to complain. What else do you want? I've given you everything, and you're wondering, everything has what? Because the person is always sacrificing. But what you have not asked yourself is that, are my sacrifices needed? And our sacrifices needed. So we don't always need to sacrifice what we want. We don't need to sacrifice the ideal. So two good people in a relationship, one of their major problems is that you don't even as minute as what to eat, where to go, the movie to see. You are just making sacrifices. Okay, if you want it, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, if that's what you want. You want that one, no, 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 whatever you want, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, I'll give it to you. And so we just keep giving and giving and giving without letting our partners give back to us. So if you are going to be fighting for the health of your own relationship, ensure that you communicate truthfully. what you want. Ensure that when you are making sacrifices, I know. And when I'm receiving the other person's sacrifice, I know. And if it is an unnecessary sacrifice, let's know that we don't need to make those sacrifices because they are unneeded. And for me, I think that one thing that we also need to look at is what is the source, or what are the sources of, people wanting to appear, to the need for perfection. It sounds noble. It sounds like a godly character to have. It sounds like this is the thing that we should be doing. But when we look at it properly, sometimes it is rooted in dysfunction. Sometimes it is rooted in, some people are compensating or overcompensating for certain things, and which let's just quickly look at a few of them and make our conclusion today. Sometimes the need for perfection grows from the place of competition. From the place of competition, you just want to. It's either you are competing to win or you are competing to lose. But competition is competition. There are some people that find joy in always losing. It just makes them feel happy that, and maybe it's also a kind of pride that, okay, I will give you the leeway to pass. I will give you the leeway to beat me because I'm a bigger person, and it just gives them joy. Some people are like that. They just find joy in sacrificing so that they make you win, but not necessarily because it's coming from fighting for the health of your relationship, like I said, but it is from that place of pride that, what, whatever she wants or whatever he wants, I do it. I am this savior of this relationship. I am the bigger person, and it just gives them joy to be the martyr in the relationship, the person that everybody works on, and that is what gives them joy. And if you have identified that in somebody, just look in the relationship that you have, who is that person that just likes to suffer? They like to be the person to put themselves forward. I'm looking for the person to go to the cross, nominate me, I am here, and that is what just gives them joy. And some other people compete to win. Some people compete to win in their relationship. So the source of perfectionism sometimes is rooted in competition, and sometimes it's rooted in jealousy. And when we say jealousy, sometimes we think that jealousy cannot happen in a relationship. Don't worry, these are things, these are concepts that we'll talk about deeply later. But the concept of jealousy exists also in relationship, and it is from that place where you believe in your own estimation that someone has something, and you feel like, ah, um yeah, that place of jealousy. I don't want to over expand on those things because they are whole topics in themselves, and when I delve into them, we may not be able to round off quickly today. But jealousy, knowing that this person has something, and I feel like that thing is missing in me, and I feel like I can compete, it begins to influence my behavior towards you, and I begin to draw my conclusions from it. And so, it's either I'm trying to sabotage you or I'm trying to outshine you. So those are the things that you can get in those kind of, in those kind of dynamics in our relationship. So we need to be aware that sometimes it's also rooted in jealousy, and sometimes it's rooted in psychological issues like obsessive and compulsive behaviors. And we need to be aware of these things. It might just be psychological issues that you are just obsessed with being seen or perceived in a particular way. You are just obsessed with it, and it has become an obsessive thing for you. So you don't feel good. You feel like you have lost a limb if people cannot applaud you for being seen as perfect. So your home, your children, no matter whose horse is gored, you are not particularly interested. But what interests you mostly is that we are seen that way. So an example of things like that can be We are all going to church and we must appear perfect in the church, and so everybody must dress up nicely. You don't care, you have to wake the children in such a way that, number one, you have to be there on time. We don't care who was sick last night. We don't care who vomited throughout the night. But we have to appear in church at a particular time, and everybody needs to know that this family is always on time. So whether you continue to vomit in the car or not, it doesn't matter. But let's go. Then the way that they dress up, everybody must be on point. You need to dress up with your tie and your bow tie. It doesn't matter how just make sure that you dress up. And if we need to be seen as a praying family, every night everybody has to pray, and every morning we have to gather around and pray. It doesn't matter who has assignments, leave that assignment. We're a godly family, we must pray. Things that you don't consider anything. Perfectionists don't give room for options, they don't give room for alternatives, and what they want is to be seen and perceived in that kind of way. And the joy that they get from it is that it gives them that satisfaction. It gives them, we don't find peace only in the future of, the future is the thing that you are planning to do, the satisfaction that you, but they don't find joy in the present. It is only that future satisfaction of being seen and perceived in a perfect way. So I would want to say that we should at all costs fight for the health of our relationship. We should fight for a healthy relationship. Eventually, it gives us peace. Eventually, it is something that we can pass down the line to our children. We are modeling before them what they should aspire to become. And so we should be careful, not just for temporary gains, but we should be mindful of the future gain that we are going to have, especially down the generational line. We should know that there is the source. We should try to identify what the source of um, perfectionism is for us. We should find out what it is and find out how it works for us. What is fueling this need for perfectionism? What is fueling this need to ignore the ideal and want to settle for less? I want to settle for anything that is less than what will produce the um, eventual right results for us. We should not ignore those things. We should pay attention, pay attention. And like I said, dysfunction is not easy to recognize in your own relationship. Usually, we see it in other people, we can identify it in other people. But when it comes to your own relationship, it is usually difficult to identify. It is difficult to recognize. And it is difficult, very, very difficult to change, because we went through all of those last week. Because when it gets to a particular point, it is reinforced, and people begin to ask and demand for uh, for that pattern that you have already built to continue. So, how are we building our relationships, if I must ask? What are the things that you are doing? What are the dynamics that are present in your relationship? And if you are unsure of the dynamics that are operating in your relationship and you cannot recognize them, would you want to speak to someone that would help you to look at it and find out how healthy your relationship is? And that is why we exist at Swim Relationship Academy. Like I said, I am a couple therapist and a relationship coach. And what I do is coach you to build a healthy relationship, that one that will truly give you joy, that type that will truly deliver happiness and intimacy to you. And so, if that is what you are interested in, and already you are beginning to see cracks in your relationship, don't forget that it is only wise couples that douse tension when they see the sparks. They douse the tension when they see the sparks. They don't wait until things escalate. And so, if there are things that you're already going through and you don't know how to handle, it's a nice time to give us a call. And this is what we do, this is what we specialize in. We are professionals at what we do. And so, we would want to help you, and we want to help you nurse your relationship back to health. And if that is what you're interested in doing, please give us a call. Like I keep saying, my name is Nikki Adekunle, and I'm a couple therapist. and a relationship coach, and I would expect to hear from you. Before I sign out today, I want to see if you have any comments or any question that we should be attending to. Um, okay, Ogechi said that two good people in a relationship make sacrifices that are needed. Yes, that's true. Um, Femi Adekunle say we see dysfunction in others and not in us. Yes, that is true. Um, Ogechi said that can also grow from the place of jealousy. Somto said, awesome thought. I learned a lot. Thank you very much, Somto, for being here this morning. Um, Wise couples don't wait until things escalate. Thank you very much. Yes, wise couples don't wait. Wise couples are the ones that seek help. They don't wait until things escalate. They douse the tension once they begin to see the sparks. And we would expect to hear from you. And if you are single and you know you want to work on your relationship, you want us to profile you to be, you want to know the kind of yeah. Okay. Someone is showing me something here, but let me just quickly say this: if you are single and you want someone to profile you and your spouse, you want to, be able to project the kind of issues that you will have eventually, because you will have one. Then you should be speaking to us as well, because we profile, couples, especially singles, to help you know the issues that you are likely to have and how to, begin to address it from the onset. So someone is asking a question: but when a spouse makes a sacrifice, shouldn't it be received with gratitude? Yes. And I like that question. When sacrifices are made in a relationship, the sacrifices should, number one, the qualities of a nice and a good sacrifice is a sacrifice that is needed, the sacrifice that is given and received. If a sacrifice is given and the person understands that at this particular time, your spouse understands that at this particular time, this person is giving is extending you know a, a hand of fellowship to me, and is giving sacrifices, and giving up whatever he wants and desires, and is also helping me. That sacrifice is needed and will be appreciated. But when we don't communicate that, okay, at this particular time, this is what I want, this is what you want, there are variants, but okay, let me make the sacrifice. It will not be appreciated. And we need to understand that two good people, like I said, two good people in relationships, they are always, check every good marriage, every good, those relationships that they are good people, they are just generally two good people. That is one of the things that they suffer the most, because usually they don't speak, they don't talk, they just continue to assume. And assumption is the lowest level of knowledge. We need to get to a place where we are certain. Ask questions. Okay, what do you want now? And be truthful. Because sometimes people also ask, what do you want? And you don't say what you want. And you just continue to dance around what you want. People should learn to speak sincerely and truthfully. Say what you want, and at that point, when I say what I want and there are variants, I can decide that, okay, you know what, let me give up. And a good sacrifice in a relationship, one person alone should not be making the sacrifices. That one also creates unhealthy relationship, because what it does is that one person will be the dominant person when it comes to giving and sacrificing, and the other person will be the one that is always receiving. That is not healthy. So a healthy equation will be that today I make sacrifices, tomorrow you make. Today I receive your sacrifice, tomorrow you receive. Because there are some people, because of pride, like I said, they don't want to receive sacrifices from their spouses. They just want it to be one sided, because they feel that I'm bigger and bigger. And these things are psychological issues that we need to deal with in a lovely relationship, in a relationship that will work, in a relationship that is healthy eventually. We need to be able, it has to be a give and take thing. Today I make sacrifices, tomorrow you make. But if you're making all the sacrifices, it's still going to produce unhealthy equation. And if I receive all the time, it's still going to become unhealthy. So thank you very much for asking that question. Thank you so much. Let me see if there's any other thing that I can address before I sign out. Making sacrifices, and me, Dumadi said, making sacrifices should be mutual for that relationship to be healthy. Yes, that is what I just said, and you have just put it in English just now. That is what I just said in so many words. Um, Oh, okay. So, in your relationship, let's look inwards. These are little silent killers that sabotage our relationships and make them frustrating after some time. You just discover that you've been in that relationship for a while and things seem to be nosediving. These are the silent issues. And on this platform, what I want to do is to talk about the little silent issues that kill our marriages. These are the things that bring you to the counseling room. These are the things that we see, and these are the things that I intend to address so that we don't get to those points, because under every conflict are little underlying issues that we hardly talk about, we don't even recognize. But now that you are on this platform, you will learn a lot of those things and be aware that these are the things that are breeding the bigger conflicts that we are having. And on that note, till I come your way next week, I don't think there is any other question that I've not answered here. If you like our video, please share, please like, and just help us to spread the word. Thank you for being here, everyone that is here on this platform. I really appreciate you for not making me do this all by myself. And till I come your way next week, hoping to create shorter videos and be able to address issues sharp and direct. I want to say that you can book a therapy session with us today. For your mental health alone, you need to be speaking to us. And once your marriage gets to that point where you feel misunderstood and you feel unheard, you should be speaking to someone already, because it is not just your relationship. Like I said, it is not just, speaking to a counselor, speaking to a therapist is not just for people that are having huge issues. It's for people that can see the sparks and they are willing to douse it on time and be among those wise people. And until I come your way next week, I'm signing out now, and I'm saying that thanks for being here. My name once again is Nike Adekunle, and bye for now.